When you think of Portugal, you probably imagine beaches, wine, and fado music. But hidden just beneath these waters is something far more important. This small country on the edge of Europe is quietly powering the internet. Almost everything you do online, YouTube, TikTok, banking, emails, is made possible by a network of giant cables lying on the ocean floor. And Portugal, it's at the heart of this secret system. Here's the thing. We talk about the cloud like it's floating in the sky. But the internet isn't in the clouds. It's physical. It's wires. 97% of the world's internet traffic, international calls, data, streaming, all of it moves through undersea fiber optic cables. For centuries, this small Atlantic nation has been a gateway, sitting at the edge of Europe but reaching far beyond it. 500 years ago, Portuguese explorers set sail from Lisbon to map the unknown world, charting routes to Africa, Asia, and the Americas. Today, the explorers aren't sailors, they're engineers. And instead of ships, they're laying down fiber optic cables across the ocean floor. Portugal's geography makes it the perfect hub. Here's why. It's the shortest route from Europe to the United States, it's a natural landing point from Africa, and it's a direct connector to South America, which means every new cable that links continents has to consider Portugal. It's prime real estate, not for ports and spice routes anymore, but for the hidden infrastructure that carries the world's data. So just like in the age of discovery, Portugal once again finds itself at the center of global connections. Only this time, it's not ships leaving Lisbon, it's the internet itself. At the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, a new generation of cables is reshaping the way continents connect. In 2021, the Ela-Link submarine cable went live, the first direct digital bridge between Europe and South America. It runs more than 6,000 kilometers from Sines, Portugal to Fortaleza, Brazil. Until Ela-Link, almost all internet traffic between the two regions had to take a detour through the United States, bouncing up through North America before coming back down. That detour meant slower connections, higher costs, and dependence on the US infrastructure. But Ela-Link fixes that with a direct route. Latency is cut nearly in half, down to about 60 milliseconds, compared to more than 100. That's a game changer for financial trading, cloud computing, video calls, and gaming. It also adds huge capacity, up to 100 terabits per second, while giving Europe and South America more digital independence. Less reliance on US networks, less exposure to surveillance, and more resilience in case of outages. And it's not just for business. Through the Bella program, Ela-Link connects research and education networks, allowing scientists to share massive datasets in climate research, astronomy, and genomics. It even strengthens cultural and economic exchange, making trade, remote work, and collaboration smoother across the Atlantic. But Ela-Link isn't the only new player. Just 1 year later, Google completed the Equiano cable running from Portugal down the west coast of Africa all the way to South Africa, with landing points in places like Nigeria, Namibia, and Togo. At nearly 15,000 kilometers, Equiano is longer than Ela-Link, and it's built with next-generation technology called space division multiplexing. That gives it around 20 times more network capacity than older cables. The economic impact is huge. Analysts estimate Equiano could add billions of dollars to GDP in countries like Nigeria and South Africa and create millions of new jobs in the digital economy. Smaller coastal nations also benefit as Equiano's multiple landing points bring them directly into the global network. Together, Ela-Link and Equiano mark a turning point. They're not just cables on the ocean floor. They're strategic lifelines, accelerating economies, powering research, and redrawing the digital map of the world. Before we continue, I just want to say that running this channel is a labor of love. And while exploring Portugal is priceless, Making these videos doesn't exactly pay the bills. So a big obrigado to Incogni for sponsoring today's episode and helping keep our adventures going. When you're traveling, whether it's Lisbon, Porto, or that tiny cafe in the Algarve, you're sharing bits of your personal info more often than you realize. Booking sites, travel apps, even hotels, Wi-Fi, they all collect details like your name, email, and phone number. Over time, that info gets passed around, and before you know it, you're getting random calls and spam in your inbox. Incogni helps you clean all that up. They contact data brokers on your behalf and get your personal information removed from their databases. No forms, no chasing companies across the internet, it's all handled for you. I've already had my details taken off of 400 sites with Incogni, and their dashboard makes it easy to track the progress. They even have a custom removal option if you spot your info on a website while you're on the road. If you want to travel with a little more peace of mind, head to incogni.com and use the code DAVEPORTUGAL for 60% off a yearly plan. You'll find the link in the description below. Thanks again to Cogni for supporting this channel. Now, let's get back to the episode. But this isn't just about speed, because under the ocean, these cables have become geopolitical battlegrounds. Whoever controls the cables controls the flow of data. And in today's world, data is power. Governments know this. They worry about espionage, about rival nations tapping into cables, intercepting secrets, or cutting off entire countries in times of conflict. These thin strands of glass lying silently on the seafloor have become targets in global power struggles. At the same time, the tech giants are moving in. Google, Meta, Microsoft, they're no longer just companies running apps on the internet. They're building the internet itself, laying down their own private cables that carry more traffic than some governments control. And that raises new questions. When private corporations own the very infrastructure of global communication, who really holds the power? Fishing villages along the Portuguese coast, once quiet and out of the way, suddenly find themselves hosting landing stations for these billion-dollar cables. Places that barely appear on a map are now critical choke points in the global economy. And every new cable, Elolink, Equiano, and the many more planned, doesn't just speed up the internet, it redraws the balance of power between countries, between corporations, and between the people who depend on this hidden web of glass to connect the entire world. So next time you send messages across the world, remember, it probably traveled through here, through Portugal, through this small Atlantic nation, once famous for ships and sailors that mapped the globe, is now navigating something entirely different, the invisible highways of the internet. 500 years ago, Portuguese explorers charted new trade routes across the oceans. Today, their coastline has become the landing point for the cables that carry the world's data. And it's not just Portugal. These unmarked buildings along sleepy stretches of beach, often disguised as warehouses or power stations, are actually some of the most important choke points on Earth. Every second, petabytes of financial transactions, video calls, and military communications pulse through them. Yet most of us never even knew. We talk about the cloud like it's floating somewhere above us, but in reality, the internet is physical. It's steel, concrete, and glass, buried under sand, running beneath our feet, and converging in places like this. And here's the wild part. The future of global power might not be decided by who commands the seas or even the skies, but by who controls these hidden arteries at the bottom of the ocean. If you found this as fascinating as I did, make sure to hit the like and subscribe button for more stories from Portugal and beyond. And let me know in the comments, what else should we uncover about this hidden world around us? This is some guy named Dave in Portugal, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Deja.